trade, that responsible sourcing, really everything that you shared when I first interfaced with you in 2016 that kind of changed my vision for agriculture, seeing agriculture as a catalyst that can change the world. I would love for you to just speak from the heart to our audience today about how and why agriculture is the perfect vehicle to change the world through responsible sourcing and fair trade practices.
Sure, sure. Well, thank you for bringing up a topic that I care so much about. So, one of the things that's important to recognize is that tea is one of the world's least expensive commodities. It's grown in some of the poorest countries in the world, but it's consumed by almost every country in the world. Actually, every country in the world has some kind of a tea that's part of their culture. And so, as we've been growing this business, we realized, well, we can buy some of the world's highest quality tea, literally, the top 5% of all tea in the world. We can buy tea of that quality, and it still only costs pennies a bottle. And what that means is that we can find ways to incorporate ways to invest in these communities without creating a pricing structure that makes it economically inaccessible. Our goal in all of these enterprises and the brands I'm involved in is to democratize healthy products. We want to make these available to everybody, not just to the healthy and wealthy. We really do want to see them everywhere. And so what we're able to do with tea is connect with tea gardens and growers who are committed to upholding the environmental pristine environments where these teas are grown, the ecosystems, and also to supporting the economic livelihoods, not just to pay them what I call a subsistence wage, but to pay them a living wage, and more than that, a wage that economically empowers them. And so what happens, our teas primarily come from India and China and now Africa as well. And what we do is when we buy the tea, in addition to making sure all the working conditions and wage standards have been met, we are able to invest in these communities so that they can create better futures for themselves. And so, one of the most meaningful projects we did there's so many, but a few of the more interesting projects we did in India is that there was a schoolhouse that had no roof. And so what does that mean? It means that when it's raining, the kids can't learn. It also means that at nighttime, it's too dark and the parents can't learn if they want to pursue literacy. And so what we did with the fair trade funds is we helped the community said, we want a roof for the school. And we said, we're happy to help fund it through the fair trade premiums. And there was no incremental cost to the consumer who bought the tea. But then when you put the roof on the school, all of a sudden you're able to have year-round learning for the children, but also the parents. And then with the roof on, you can put lights on the ceiling, and then the parents can start learning and can gain additional skills and become economically empowered to pursue other opportunities. One of the other really interesting aspects of fair trade is that it helps especially empower women, because so many of the tea pluckers are women. And if they are just tea pluckers, they are paid, still it's a relatively low wage. They can provide for their families, but they don't have much of an economic say in the future. But what happens is when it's fair trade, there's a portion of the funds that goes back to the workers, and the workers' votes on how the money is spent, their vote is proportionate to their role in the workforce. And so what happens is all of a sudden these women who are tea pluckers have a pool of money they're able to make decisions about that they would not normally have available. And it gives them a say in their future that is much larger than just them as being wage earners. The other interesting thing we've seen is that when you educate women and young girls, they stay in school longer, they have fewer children, and they have the children later in life. And so as we start to think about, one of the reasons global warming is accelerating is because the population is growing. There, when we talk about environmental footprints, if you have more footprints on the earth, there's more stress on the planet. And so by helping to encourage people to have children later in life and fewer, you're actually addressing an environmental need as well. So for us, fair trade is just a wonderful, holistic way to support these communities and to support the ecosystems that are so fragile. And for us, we need to make sure are so as clean as they can be.
Right. And, I've never heard that explanation. But I do think, I serve on a board, Global Women Fresh. We're all about empowering women globally through agriculture. I mean, agriculture is one of the only industries that exists worldwide where women can earn a professional wage in every country that agriculture touches. So it's wonderful to hear that. And I never really thought of, I obviously built a business around motherhood, the produce moms, very deliberate choice of words there. But I never thought about how much power lies in, women who, I just think that's such a global way to look at it. In America, we have a different viewpoint on, family planning and women's rights. And when you think of it with that global lens and you think, wow, this empowers a woman to have, rights in her community outside of just motherhood. That is transformational.